What's up, everyone? This is the Next Date Podcast, episode 100. So that is 100 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, like I said, this is our special 100 episode of the Next Date Podcast, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a cool, smooth, hardworking 2 years, I believe.
Well, we're a little
On,
shy of 2
on 2 years, or
years.
like a 1 year and a half, I
But
believe.
about a year and a half, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. 2 years would be in, I think, September.
September. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Yeah. It's been a great podcast. We're doing well on this podcast. A lot of things has happened on this podcast. So, did collaborations with a few people. Um, we talked about a lot about politics, such as other topics. What do you think, Tanika?
Well, I mean, we've talked about different types of things when it comes to, the politics. Obviously, we just did the election episode. We talked about Doug Ford. We talked about, you know, kinds of different things, that's come up
Yeah.
in the news and stuff throughout.
Mm-hmm.
We've also, had fun with it. We've done like a Christmas series, which we do
Mm-hmm.
every year. She'll, be coming back again. We've done our Halloween series as well, which again, that's coming back as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, we've done all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and not slowing down, not yet.
Not yet. No.
No,
Anytime soon. So
nope.
we'll continue this podcast.
Like I said, we
Usually,
have episodes for at least another 2 years.
yeah. True. So like basically, normally a lot of podcasts will be open around the first
They say
10th,
third episode.
third episode.
Third
Really?
episode, yeah.
Average? Oh wow.
Yeah, average.
Mm-hmm.
That yeah, if most don't make it past the third episode. And that's the thing too, like, kind of going behind the scenes here, like this podcast for the most part, having, both of us a part of it, has been fairly smooth, and sticking to it. With my other podcast, obviously, like,
Yeah.
and how that kind of turned out too. And I feel like you kind of jinxed me, to be totally honest with you. But
Mm-hmm.
that podcast originally was supposed to be two people. It's supposed to be me and my friend
Mm-hmm.
Ava, and
Mm-hmm.
who I hopefully, fingers crossed, I will have her on this podcast as well, because we do have an episode coming up. I think in a few months
Oh
that she'll be
wow.
a part
Okay.
of. But that was originally supposed to be two people. It's supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
both me and her. And after not even like I would say the first three, two or the third episode, we were having issues getting recording and all of that. And it's like, listen, I'm the kind of person who's like, listen, I'm supposed to get this done. I'm supposed to get this done. Let's just do this. Um, so I had to turn into a solo podcast, but it's still going strong too. That's going to be 2 years actually
Okay.
towards the end of the month.
Nice.
So yeah, like it
Mm.
is a lot of hard work, but it's fun.
Yeah,
We'll be
it is fun.
rewarded.
It is fun. If you make it feel like fun. A lot of people just trying to make it feel like work, and it can't do it. So
For some people, like especially the ones that are like have been around for a while, they it is their work. It is their job and they
hmm
can do that. I think, I think about like, and that's why we drink or reality gaze or the Assess Network or whatever, like that is their job, right? Whereas like we also have our day jobs. So, right. But
we try to
yeah,
make time
yeah,
for it as well. So
yeah,
we do have a little time here and there. So
yeah. And obviously, like, it'd be nice to have more time to do it, but, with
hmm
work, we both have
hmm
our jobs and, different things going on in our personal lives and stuff like that, which,
hmm
like, kinda did open up a little bit about during the election episode. It's just, like, sometimes it's tough, but we
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
So,
we do it.
yeah.
Yeah, we do. Um, so this is gonna be like an a relaxing episode, not gonna be like much of a regular episode, like a three topic or or a subject
Yeah.
episode. So
We'll also have, like, a little bit I have a bit of a subject, but it's gonna have fun with it.
yeah,
I don't know what Mikel has planned,
yeah,
but, yeah, we're gonna have fun with it.
hmm hmm
Yeah. We can maybe even talk about what's to come a little bit too, kind of similar to when we do, like, our recap of the year. We can kinda talk about what's to come, a little bit in the next little bit, but yeah, that's kind of what we can do with this episode.
mm. Okay,
Yeah.
that's, that's
So
good.
am I going first?
Yeah, go first. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, so I know we've talked about like true crime and stuff like that in this on this podcast. I want to have a little fun with it because I have talked about the fact that, Florida, just start over, let's do it over again. Because sometimes the people there are terrifying. Some of the things you choose to do, Lord. So we're going to talk about Florida man and Florida women crimes, which is going to be fun. It's all in good fun.
hmm
No one's gonna get killed in these. None of that's happening. It's just gonna show Florida in your glory. That is all. So let's do it. So Florida man and Florida women were back at it again with a wide range of shenanigans back in 2024. So let's go to it. First one, a Florida man was arrested after he drove through a closed beach and into the ocean. He drove into the ocean.
Oh wow.
During his arrest, he can be heard telling deputies that he just wanted to surf, and it's not his fault that the truck don't surf.
Mhm.
Oh no. That is a quote, y'all, that the truck don't surf. That is amazing. I hope he was able to surf. Anyways, next one. This is Taylor Swift related. So some Swifties went to drastic lengths to see their favorite artist on her Eras tour in 2024, but this Florida man took it a step further. A 44-year-old man was arrested for impersonating a security guard to get into Swift's Miami concert, according to an arrest report. He told an officer he didn't have tickets, who got in after he escorted, quote, his four clients to their seats. What clients? You're, first of all, A, impersonating a security guard, so why would you have clients? Number 2, where are the clients? You still need a ticket. Anyways, that's that one. These are little short ones. There's full stories to this if you are interested and you wanna see the full story, so I'm just doing little snippets. Okay, next one. A Florida man was arrested after he indulged in sweets and other various items inside a closed Walgreens for several hours, according to police. Quote, I came in here to use the bathroom, the man told officers. After being in the restroom for nearly 5 hours, what is going on? Police said the man began roaming around the store, quote, treating himself to various items such as Tostitos, spinach dip, chips, Reese's chocolate, Ghirardelli chocolate bars, Dr. Pepper, and Newport cigarettes. He's just helping himself like he's the lady who had the baby in Walmart. Except that was a different situation. But anyways. So yeah, that's that one. Next
Mhm.
one. Dozens of Floridians were charged with offenses connected to the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Eek. But one Florida woman got a little sidetracked from her mission to, quote, stop the steal, which that had to obviously do with Biden. She was captured on security cameras inside the Capitol wearing a yellow scuba mask and recording several videos of herself traversing the building among the mob, according to the DOJ. One self recorded video showed two women wandering the halls, quote, in search of a bathroom, the DOJ said. She asked a Capitol police officer to, oh my God. Okay. She asked a Capitol police officer to point her toward a restroom, which led them downstairs to another officer who ushered them out of the building. You're here to do a riot, which you shouldn't have been doing in the first place. That's besides the point. But you're here to do a riot. Don't ask an officer where the bathroom is. Piss in your scuba gear. I don't know what to tell you.
Wow.
Oh my god. Okay. I mean, if you're gonna be stupid, stay that stupid, I guess. But anyways. Um, next one. Oops, I just lost it. 1 second, sorry. Okay, there you go. Um, so a Florida man decided to chow down on raw chicken daily in a bizarre challenge to find out if eating raw meat isn't as horrifying as it seems. You're gonna get someone. Okay, let me continue. John, who has chosen not to share his last name for privacy reasons and the fact that you're a dummy, you probably have salmonella. Anyways, filmed himself eating slabs of raw chicken and chugging raw eggs. Oh God, why do people do the raw egg? Talking to someone on this podcast who's done the raw egg thing before. But anyways,
Raw egg?
yeah, you.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Disgusting, y'all.
No,
I
it's
literally
not bad. It's
witnessed it.
not bad. I just
It was
haven't tried it.
disgusting. I literally witnessed him chug this raw egg into his mouth. It was
It's not bad.
ugh.
Yeah, it's supposed to be good for
Because
you.
he wanted to be like the wrestlers or the boxers or whatever the hell you told me
Oh,
then.
that Rocky did it. He did it. So I was like
I
working out one
actually
day.
want to ask Sylvester Stallone if he actually took that raw egg or if he actually had like it was fake. It actually wasn't an egg, but something that looked like an egg. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So yes, he was eating slabs of raw chicken and chugging raw eggs for his 400,000 Instagram followers for a few months, y'all. A few
Mm,
months. He said he planned to eat raw chicken every day until he, quote, gets a tummy ache.
mm,
There is no word on how John's. Okay, I'm sorry.
mm.
Okay. There is no word on how John's experiment turned out, but it's probably safe to assume he eventually got a tummy ache, as he has not posted to Instagram since July. Oh, dummy, I love it. Oh my God. Okay. Next one. Florida man to the rescue, y'all. Okay. A man in Collier County narrowly escaped a potentially deadly encounter with an 11-foot alligator thanks to one of his neighbors. Quote, I was driving and we saw a man lying on the ground, waving his arm, just the one arm, the
Mm,
man told WBBH. We pulled over and I got out of the car and saw that an alligator had him by the leg. With not
mm.
much time to think, our Florida man ran over the alligator, which released his neighbor from his mouth.
Oh wow.
Hey, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. My mom, before we get into more, my mom says she's been to Florida a couple times. Um, Mainly like Orlando when she went to Disney World. And she's also been to Miami. Um, but she has said she's never seen one. She's never seen an alligator, but she remembers people saying that watch out, there's like alligators just walking down the street. And my mom's like, so I'm not going outside. So, because here in Canada, we're not used to alligators or crocodiles. We don't see that here, or at least in Ontario, anyways. We don't see that here. So she says, yeah, they'll just saunter down the road as if they own the place. And she has said, though, that apparently it does happen as well in Florida, that she has seen crabs. So, yeah, she has seen crabs in, a washing machine because I don't know if it happens everywhere in Florida, but at least where she was staying, they had washing machines in the garage. So the crabs will just help themselves into your garage and then help themselves into your washing machine, and my mom's like, I'm just not." So that happens as well. So it's true that these little gators are just roaming the streets as if they own the place, and that's another reason why I'm terrified to go to Florida, but I still will so that I can go to Disney World, because I wanna live there. So it is. Not sure if my boyfriend will agree to that, but anyways, I wanna live there. Anyway, next one. So a Florida man was arrested after he live streamed himself climbing a cellular tower in Hillsborough County. When authorities found him, he was climbing back down the tower after sharing his adventure on social media. Quote, you made it all the way to the top, an arresting deputy asked the man. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, the deputy responded. He was taken into custody once he reached the ground. Hey, if you need better service, climb the
Mhm.
cellular tower. Don't do that, but I'm just saying. You could do that. Next one. So, a Florida woman was accused of stealing an ambulance from a children's hospital and leading deputies on a chase. Quote, this ambulance is all over the road and it's running red lights. It's going to end up killing someone. It's purposefully, recklessly driving crazy, an audio clip released by the sheriff's office said. Her joyride came to an end after deputies managed to box in the ambulance with the patrol vehicles. She was taken into custody. Don't know why she decided to take this ambulance. I don't know why, but why? A Florida man says he made a mistake when he called in threats against himself in an attempt to get revenge on someone. Let me tell you, the 20-year-old told police he received the following emails. There's a bomb on your grandpa's property. I'm going to break in your house and shoot you in the deep head. I'm going to kill you. Watch me. This sounds like an actual case where this actually happened, and that doesn't end well, but this actually sounds like that case. But, anyways, when he followed up with police to ask why they hadn't arrested the person accused of sending the threats, they arrested him for allegedly filing a false police report instead, because they probably knew it was him. That's why they didn't do anything. Anyways, next one. A Florida man was caught on video purchasing a mask from a gas station before walking across the street. Oh my God. Okay, let me repeat this, guys. So, this Florida man was caught on video purchasing a mask. So, not like a COVID mask, but like a full face mask, like a ski mask, um, before walking across the street to burglarize an unlocked bank, according to the Martin County Sheriff's Office. With the help of the security footage, he was later found and arrested. Quote, he was charged with burglary despite the fact that the only thing he walked away with was the mask that set him back $5.
Oh, wow.
Oh man. Um, so that's basically the Florida man thing.
Mhm.
I do have another one that I totally forgot that I'd done this one.
Mhm. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you heard about, maybe for my true crime people, you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever heard about the story of DB Cooper?
No, I haven't heard of.
Really? Okay, well, we're gonna have fun with DB Cooper because again, no one is hurt in the process of this. It is another true crime one, but it's fascinating. Anyone who's part of the true crime community
Okay. I'm
wants to know who DB
curious.
Cooper is and will never know, but yeah. So let's get to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And again, if anyone wants more information on DB Cooper, there is a documentary on Netflix that you can watch as well. So, DB Cooper was a criminal who, in 1971, the year of my mother's birth, hijacked a commercial plane traveling from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington, and later parachuted out of the aircraft with the ransom money. An extensive manhunt ensued, but the hijacker was never identified or caught, resulting in one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. The man used the alias Dan Cooper, but in the subsequent news reporting, a reporter misheard the name as D.B. Cooper, which
Mhm.
became widely used. On
Mhm.
November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, a nondescript man who appeared to be in his mid 40s and about 6 feet tall bought a $20 ticket for Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. $20, y'all. Let's go back to the 70s. Jeez. He gave his name as Dan Cooper, which later turned out to be fake. Shortly after takeoff from Portland, he handed a note to a flight attendant in which he claimed to have a bomb in his briefcase. He then proceeded to open the attache case, which contained numerous wires, red sticks, and a battery. Cooper demanded 4 parachutes and $200,000 in $20 bills because he's trying to get that $20 back, y'all, worth about $1.2 million in the early 21st century. After the flight landed in Seattle, Cooper released the 36 passengers when authorities provided the money and parachutes. However, he forced two pilots, a flight engineer, and a flight attendant to remain on the plane. After it refueled, he ordered the pilots to fly to Mexico City. Per his instructions, the plane flew under 10,000 feet at a speed slower than 200 knots. Around 8 p.m., while between Seattle and Reno, Nevada, widely believed to be near Ariel, Washington, Cooper lowered the rear steps and jumped. So picture it. This man in a parachute
Mhm.
releases the stairs or whatever to get out, or the hatch to get out, and just jumps. He just jumps. Yeah. Um, he then disappeared. You don't say. So the FBI launched what would become one of the longest and most exhaustive investigations in its history, known as NORJAC, Northwest Hijacking. Initially, the agency believed that Cooper knew both planes and the area, and it was speculated that he served in the military because he jumped out of the plane, y'all. Okay. Um, Possibly as a paratrooper. Later, however, it was decided that he was not an experienced skydiver because the jump was too dangerous, and he failed to notice that his reserve parachute was sewn shut for use in training. So
Mm.
he potentially did not survive the jump, but people want to believe, including me, that he did survive. Anyways,
Right.
the agency reported that it looked at some 800 suspects in the first 5 years, with almost all being eliminated. Some were ruled out on the basis of DNA that was eventually recovered. Um, sorry. From the tie Cooper took off before jumping. So the man didn't even keep his tie on, y'all. He's like, let me take this off, and then jumped.
Mhm.
Oh. One prime suspect was Richard Floyd McCoy, who was arrested for a similar crime several months later. However, he was eliminated as a suspect, partly because he did not match the descriptions provided by two flight attendants. So while serving his sentence, McCoy made a fake gun and escaped from prison, but was killed in a shootout with law enforcement. Yikes. Many speculated that Cooper, who was outfitted in a business suit, trench coat, and loafers, did not survive. I disagree. I think he survived. Anyways, at
Mhm.
the altitude, the winds were more than 200 miles, so 322 kilometers for everybody else, per hour, and the parachute he used could not be steered. In addition, he would have landed in a rugged, heavily wooded area. After years of dead end leads, investigators received a break in 1980, so 11 years later, when a boy found a decaying package containing $5,800.
Oh, wow.
It was buried along the Columbia River, north of Portland, and some 20 miles from Ariel, where they suspect that he was trying to, where they suspect that he jumped, was around Ariel, Washington.
Mm.
The serial numbers of the money, all of which were $20 bills. Remember that? 'Cause remember he wanted it all in $20 bills?
Mhm.
Matched those of the ransom. It was D.B. Cooper's, y'all. Anyways, um, however, following an extensive search, nothing further was discovered. Although the FBI continued to receive tips, in 2016, the agency officially closed its investigation, stating that its resources could best be used on other cases.
Mm.
The unsolved mystery fascinated the country, and D.B. Cooper became something of a folk hero, inspiring numerous songs, books, and movies.
Mm.
So that's D.B. Cooper. D.B. Cooper is fascinating. Again, there is so much more in the, not so much more really, but there is more. You'll get descriptions of what he looked like or what they believed he looked like and everything. And you'll hear from the flight attendants too who served him and everything. Like there's a lot more in the documentary. It's actually pretty decent. I think it's 4 episodes or maybe 6 episodes. I can't remember. Watched it
Yeah.
over a year ago, but it's really good. So I
Mm.
recommend.
All right. So I have something. So you seen this trend going around, like everybody's been like talking about 100 men versus one gorilla. Have you seen it?
Okay. No, I haven't seen this one.
Oh yeah, it's been going around on the internet. It's been on some like networks, like on TV as well. Been talked about. So I'm gonna ask you,
Mhm,
100 men
mhm.
versus one gorilla. Who
The
wins?
the gorilla. The
Really?
gorilla's winning. Have
Mm,
you seen gorillas?
don't know. I don't know.
Have you seen gorillas?
I know, but like
Look,
there's some small a baby gorilla.
but you didn't say baby gorilla. You
Yeah,
said gorilla.
it's technically a gorilla, you know,
No,
but
but it's a baby gorilla, right? So here's what I'm gonna say though. I still
uh,
think the gorilla, even if it's a baby gorilla, and here's why.
uh,
If a baby gorilla is being attacked
uh-huh,
potentially by 100 men,
yeah.
mama bear is coming out. That mama gorilla is gonna come out and she's gonna up. Don't mess with a mama. So I still say the gorilla
That's
because that
true.
gorilla has a mama
I,
on
I
its side.
just, I just think, okay, the gorilla might, like beat up or murder a few people in the men, but I feel like the men would like strategize and think about what they gotta,
So you're
take.
basically trying to say that man is more intelligent than an animal.
I do think
Not
so. I just think
always.
like a gorilla would just come in there and just wreck stuff. Like
Remember where we
we
were
do,
descent from. Remember where we were descendants from. We were
mhm.
descendants from monkeys,
I
in
know,
particular gorillas.
I know, but aren't we
So,
smarter than a gorilla though?
no, gorillas are very intelligent. Monkeys are very intelligent. Do not mess with a gorilla. Gorillas will rip your face off. Monkeys, just
I
monkeys in general, will
I
rip your face
I
off.
think without weapons, we can figure out how we're going to do it. If we're around resources,
Without
I think we
weapons
can.
or with?
I think without weapons, I
Oh,
think
oh, you're
like
screwed even more
there'll be
so.
trees, there'll be like some type of like. I think we can figure out how we can just like maneuver and get around the gorilla.
I think I disagree. I do. Now, are we talking so when we say 100 men, we mean men, right? Males.
Men,
Okay.
yeah, men. Like
Men are dumb. Ladies, men are dumb. Okay.
do you think 100? Do you think 100 women can do it?
No,
I think 100 women can do it.
I still
I
don't
think
think 100 women could do it because
I
first
think
of all,
they
A,
can.
women are not going to do it.
I think.
We're
Well,
not
then
going to do it.
if they were,
I will attack an animal to save my
I
child, but I'm not going to just attack for no reason, right? But
well,
no,
if we're sent to a land and you have to beat this gorilla for this type of money, would you?
no,
100 million?
no,
Really? That's a lie.
no,
I don't think so.
no,
I,
I'm not going to because A, here's the reasons why. Number one, I like animals. So I'm not going to just attack an animal so I can get
I
some
mean,
money.
yeah, it's true.
Let me
A lot of
finish. Number two.
yeah.
Let me finish with this. Number two. Um, I'm not gonna win. I'm gonna die. So no, I'm not doing it.
You're down the human race here.
I'm
You're down.
it's not about that. Have you seen a gorilla? Have
I'm
you
gonna
seen them?
I know, but I'm gonna take the Batman way and just say prep time and strategy will beat that gorilla.
We'll
Yes,
talk about
there will
Batman.
kill a few of us, but there's some smart people in that. There'll probably be some smart people in that group that will know how to take down that gorilla.
We'll talk about Batman. I'm thinking like literally what I'm thinking in my head, I'm thinking DC right now.
Yes,
You remember the gorilla in The Flash?
I think his name is.
What was his name? I can't remember his name, doesn't matter, but there was, like, this so for those people who didn't watch Flash or don't know what we're talking about, there was this
Rudd.
what was his name?
Rudd.
Right. So, what he said, there was this gorilla that was, like, huge, okay? Massive gorilla, okay? And had, like, super gorilla strength
Hmm.
and could talk as well, there was that part too, he could talk. So, he was very intelligent.
I mean, that's a
And there were some times that Barry almost didn't make it through. with an
I mean,
attack with him.
it's a cartoon. Did
The Flash isn't a car it's not a cartoon, first of all. I'm thinking the real life live action one,
yeah, oh,
right?
sorry,
That's the one I'm thinking of.
GCI,
Yeah. So
GCI,
CGI. But that's I know that.
yeah,
But the reason, though, they're choosing a gorilla is because everybody knows gorillas are insane.
I
I'm
know,
literally thinking Hulk smash with a gorilla. They just have to yank you and just throw you up against a tree. They could literally just take a bunch of people and just throw you against a tree. You're done. You're
yeah, I
dead.
know, but like, that's what I say. You take a few of us. The sacrifice would, yes,
No.
gorilla, but
First of
I
all, I
feel like
wouldn't want my man to
I
take a
feel like
sacrifice with that.
feel like there's 100 men. There's a few men out there that'll be like huddle up and just think about what we're gonna do. Oh, I got an idea. I got an idea. I got an idea.
Yeah, you all got
Yeah,
ideas,
yeah. And then
but
let's
the
do this.
gorilla
But
is an animal is an animal. They think off animal instinct. They're not strategizing, which is even scarier.
yeah, they're
So,
not. Yeah, yeah. That's the
but that's
and that's how you
scarier.
can go ahead.
If you're asking me, could 100 people fight a lion? I might
Mhm.
say, okay, there's a fighting chance
Yeah,
because lion, although are strong animals and whatever, they're just not the same as gorillas because gorillas, they don't have to walk on 4 legs. They
mm,
they could just like us, they can walk on 2 legs and
mhm,
they can use those other legs and go just fling you and they
mhm.
can run into you and they can do all like gorilla is a different beast because they're just like us. So
Uh-huh.
that's the thing. I'm like, they no, they have disposable thumbs. No, you're not
Yeah.
winning that.
Mm.
I stand true to what I say.
Disagree.
Okay,
Disagree.
you can disagree all you want. Like I said, monkeys have literally
And then
ripped people's faces
I
off.
know I do think, but I at the same time, you think the monkey is not a monkey. The gorilla will basically
Well, a gorilla
kill.
is a monkey. It's part of
Yeah,
the monkey
yeah,
family,
yeah,
but yeah.
but I'm not just saying. Will kill all 100 men.
But are you saying they're killing them or are they potentially maiming them as well? Are they
The
all 100 men being killed or are
Yes,
some okay.
you think?
Here's what I'll say. I don't think the gorilla is going to kill all 100 men right off the bat. But what I am saying is that I think 100 men are going to get seriously injured and probably die due to their injuries. Maybe a little later. That's what I
Injuries,
think.
yes. Injuries, I do agree, but I feel like they'll come out. They'll come out together and just.
Sure. But does that mean that the gorilla is dying? Because I don't think the gorilla is dying.
Mm,
That's what I'm trying to say. The gorilla ain't dying.
mm. They
The
following
gorilla
some
is
group.
gonna survive that, whether you're all dying or someone getting maimed or whatever.
There's a lot. There's a lot of resources around that a human can do. I don't think a gorilla can just think about strategies and think about what we're gonna do to kill these 100 humans versus a human would think about that. And like if there's trees out there, what that human's thinking about? Uh, Try to like build a weapon or hit a weapon out of it, right? Or
But
uh,
in the moment or after the fact or before the fact?
not before the fact, but in the moment, yes.
Okay,
But
but
like
the
you can,
time you're taking to make a
yeah,
weapon, that gorilla's
yeah.
already kicked you across the
The
way.
thing is, here's the thing: the humans can hide somewhere, right?
And you think the gorilla's not gonna find them?
They're too busy, like killing the other men, right? So there is
Okay,
100 men, like there is 100 men. So there's and possibly the real might struggle a little bit, right? So
sure.
the other men will probably hide somewhere just to think about a plan, and then there it is. That's what I'm thinking. Like humans can beat this gorilla, right? So, but yeah, but if it was like 100 gorillas versus 100 humans, and then I would agree with you, right? But it's one one gorilla, right?
I don't know. I still think that the I don't know. I still think that
You still think that
I still
gorilla?
think, yeah,
What do you think?
because I think it also just depends on the rules though. If it's 100 men coming in, no
All the
weapons
way in?
allowed. No weapons allowed.
No
Then you're
weapons allowed?
screwed.
Um,
But if there's weapons allowed, then yeah, sure, there's a fighting chance that you might win.
I think
But
if
again,
it's 100 men rushing the gorilla, I think the gorilla will struggle.
I don't think the
But if
gorilla
it's
will
just like
struggle.
a few, if it's just like if they're going one by one, then the gorilla is gonna obviously gonna beat the. But if you're rushing the gorilla has no like time to like, think about who he's gonna like kill, who he's gonna like
But he doesn't
punch.
have to think about that. They're animals. They're animalistic. They're just going to grab whatever is coming at them and just start throwing hands. So you gotta remember, you gotta think like a gorilla. If you are a gorilla, or not even so much of a gorilla, if you have 100 people coming at you, are you gonna think, who am I gonna attack first? No, you're just gonna start throwing hands.
Okay, so no weapons. You said no weapons.
I'm saying if there's no weapons. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, but I'm saying
So
if that's
there,
100 men versus
yeah,
one gorilla, is there weapons or is there not supposed to be weapons?
there's no weapons, but like
Okay, so then I
there
still
are
think gorilla's
resources.
winning.
There are resources though. There's
Sure.
around the sand. You can throw sand in the gorilla's eye.
You could also do that to a human,
Like,
doesn't mean you're killing them.
I mean, the gorilla's not gonna do that. The gorilla's gonna like
You think a
punch
gorilla's
him.
not gonna
They're
do
all
that?
no gorilla's not gonna do that. No,
Yeah,
no.
I think you're not giving enough to the gorilla.
Oh,
I don't
like
think you're giving enough to the gorilla.
cause
Gorillas are they're not we're not talking about, I don't know, a bear.
I think
I think even bears are stupider than gorillas.
I
They're
think
so
I think you're
smart.
watching too much movies. I
No,
don't.
I'm not watching too much movies. I'm also watching how gorillas act in a zoo. That's real
Yeah,
life,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
seeing
Like
that kind of there was literally I don't know, it wasn't a gorilla, but, like, gorillas are smart. Gorillas know. They're not dumb
they're
animals.
I understand that, but they're not as smart as
But
like
why do you think
IQ the IQ as a human.
but why? And this is what I mean, like,
They're
I'm
smart,
go
but they're not.
I'm gonna
They,
challenge you here.
mhm,
This is
mhm.
because I think a lot of people, a lot of humans really do not give animals enough of
No,
a no, 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 I'm not even saying this to you. I'm just saying in general. I think a lot of humans don't give enough to animals. They are smart creatures. There are some animals that are stupid, but there
mhm,
are smart creatures. They're not dumb.
mhm,
And for whatever reason, humans think that we're superior. We are not superior. The animals are superior. At the end of the day, animals are going to keep going while the humans are extinct. Okay. So animals are way more superior than we are as humans. That's how I think we have to kind of retrain our brains to think
mhm,
that way. That's why I'm always going to give it to the gorilla because they're better than us anyways. So, I mean, like
mhm,
I have a bird, right? I know how people don't like birds or whatever, but when I see my bird and I see how he like operates and everything, he's very smart.
mhm,
He knows. He knows.
mhm.
It's incredible to see. That's a bird, right? The bird's not going to win against the gorilla. But I'm just trying to say, like, to kind of put it out there.
You
Like
think you
even your
think
dog Milo. Milo
yeah.
is a smart creature. Okay,
Yeah, he's smart. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm saying, I'm trying to say like,
I'm just trying to say animals
Do
are
you
always
think the
gonna.
bird can your bird can beat 100 humans?
Oh, absolutely not. My bird's smart is tiny, teeny tiny. He can fly away.
Yeah, that's
No,
that's
absolutely
what I'm
not.
basically saying. Like they're
But we're not
smart.
talking about a bird. We're talking about a
Like
gorilla.
these, like
Gorilla different.
I'm getting that, but they're smart. They're like my dog's smart. Your bird's smart, but there's like they're not gonna think. They're just gonna do, right? They're just gonna do what makes them survive.
Yeah, but we're talking about a gorilla. That's
Like
different. Gorilla's different. For me,
Gorilla has the yeah, Gorilla has an IQ as a little bit IQ as a human, but it doesn't have the overall IQ as a human, right? The
but
higher IQ as a human, like they do have. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. They're smart, but they're not smarter than a human. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
yeah, yeah,
They're
but
not
it's
going to
not just
sit
about
down and think,
smarts.
how am I going to kill this 100 people? They're
But
just gonna rush in and do.
it's not just about smarts, right? It's about that instinct. That having your intelligence
Yeah.
has nothing to do with instinct.
Mhm, mhm,
Instinct and intelligence are separate. So
right.
what I'm basing my thing on is instinct, not
Mhm,
intelligence. Because you can think you're smart, but doesn't
mhm.
mean you're going to win over something that has, instinct.
Alright.
That's
Mm,
what I'm saying.
mhm. Okay, okay, alright, alright, okay. Agree to disagree, like,
Yeah.
gorilla you think gorilla's gonna win? I think the human race has I'm not saying that the gorilla can, pull it off, but, like, yeah, I think they down the human race a little bit, but, like, the
I don't, but
army
I'm not the only one.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
human
there's
race has
people
much to thank
there's a
for
lot
this
of people
planet.
that
So
I just don't understand. They have, like, pictures of King Kong. I'm like, obviously, King Kong will will
King
kill
Kong can
100.
screw up more than just 100 people.
Yeah, it will it would kill he would kill 100 people. All he's gotta do is just stomp on it and it's over.
So exactly. But I'm not thinking King Kong because
Yeah,
that doesn't
I'm
exist.
thinking a smaller gorilla, but they're big though, right? There's some
Gorillas are
gorillas that
big,
are
yeah.
big, there's some gorillas that are small.
Gorillas are big and they're like big height
Yeah,
wise and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
body
yeah,
mass too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see ridiculous pictures like King Kong and everything. I'm like, okay, yeah, obviously he's gonna
Yeah,
win.
no. King Kong's gonna attack 1,000 people at once. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you have the army, like, and then you have UFC fighters as well. Like, mm, that's what I'm thinking. Like, you put UFC fighters in there. I don't think they're not afraid to face a gorilla. And then you have the army who have weapons. Obviously, that the gorilla's gonna die automatically in the
yeah,
army.
I would say like if you're going to have a tank and you're gonna shoot at it,
Yeah,
especially with a tank, yeah. Like, yeah,
yeah,
the gorilla's
yeah,
not gonna win that.
yeah,
But if we're just talking like average
yeah.
100 men,
Average.
like I'm thinking like
Not
I know I don't know if I've come across 100 men, but if I've come across 100 men, the men that I've come across, and that includes my boyfriend, absolutely not. You're not winning. You're not winning.
I mean,
You're
if
just
it's a
not.
one-on-one, obviously the girl's gonna
No,
win.
but I'm talking like all of y'all at once. You're not winning. I mean, my boyfriend is strong. He works out, but
Yeah,
no, he's not winning.
yeah. I don't know. All right. So, you know that Carney visited Trump the other day.
I heard that he was going to, but I didn't know it actually happened.
It did happen. So
God,
he
duh.
told he Trump is going on about how Canada's gonna be the 51st state.
Trump can
Right?
suck it. But anyways, yeah.
But Mark Carney went to the White House I think yesterday as
To
we
say
were
Canada's
talking.
not for sale?
Yeah, and he
Good.
said Canada's not for sale
Like, get
ever.
over it.
And then
Even
and then
over people.
obviously, Andrew Trump says never say never.
You're you. I hate him. I
Obviously,
hate him so much.
yeah. There's obviously Mark Carney went up there to talk about the relationship between Canada and the U.S. I think they was going to talk about the auto industry. I believe. I don't think they
Mhm,
went. I don't think Mark Carney went up for the terms. I believe because
mhm.
obviously Trump's not going to move from that
No.
ever. And yeah, did you hear about the what he's doing with the film industry? Trump,
I did.
ridiculous.
I
And
did.
it's gonna hurt the film industry, including
Yeah.
in Toronto. So
I
like,
have plans to talk about that during the bonus episode more in depth,
mhm,
which is actually before this episode.
yeah,
So we would have already
we'll,
talked about it, but
we'll talk about
yeah.
briefly, briefly.
We talk, yeah, briefly.
It's a little ridiculous.
It
Like,
is
I I,
ridiculous.
I don't know who this guy is mad at, to be honest with you, um, but yeah,
Everything.
a lot of Canadian. There's been like half and half for Mark Carney, obviously for on the Canadian side as well, and the American side, like how Trump won that meeting with Mark Carney, and Mark
It's not
Carney.
about winning.
Yeah, it's about having a
It's about the
conversation.
the world, not this world leaders, but these two leaders coming together.
Yeah,
Like, why does everything have to be a competition with this guy?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these supporters who support, like who are against Mark Carney in Canada, which I just don't understand. That you're a Canadian, you're supposed to be supporting it, and then
Yeah, but
Trump
yeah,
supporters
people
who are
want what
just
they want, though.
yeah,
We're not the same level as Americans, but we
yeah,
want
yeah,
what we want, and if
yeah, because
yeah,
they want the conservatives to win.
they want conservatives to win,
And
so they're
obviously
against him.
fear, yeah, they're
Yeah.
against him, right? So like obviously they're a little bit for Trump, and then he got destroyed. They did that, you know, he got destroyed by Trump, and they wish Pierre was there, or Pierre would have handled it
Yeah,
different.
that would have been
Like,
a very different
yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
That's the thing. Let's not forget that. It would have been a very, very, very different conversation between
yeah.
the 2 of them.
I think it would have been a different conversation, and I, yeah, the thing is like Mark Carney handled it in a respectful way. I don't understand that. Probably he was thinking a lot of things in his mind. There was some uh 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 there was some footage of him, or clips of him when Trump said he didn't do, yeah, so yeah, basically I don't know. It's very stupid that if a lot of Canadians think this way, and a lot of Trump supporters in that way as well. Like it's some type of debate or something like that. It's just two leaders having a conversation how to make their countries better. So I just don't understand. Like not everything. You know, these two leaders have to win, or they're trying to make a deal on how to make their country better. And yeah,
Yeah.
so um that's all. Well, technically, so do you remember GameStop, by the way?
Yeah.
So they're rebranding back to EB Games.
Okay.
So they used to be called EB Games
Yep.
before the rebrand, like back in before like 2021. But
Mhm.
GameStop got bought out by a new owner, and they got so 4 years later, the owner was looking to sell the international part of GameStop. So that's basically us. So like the Canadians, and I don't know, I don't know where else they're at basically, but somebody from Montreal bought out the Canadian version of our store in GameStop.
Mhm.
So now they're going back to EB Games.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty cool. That they're going back to EB Games. Um, it's been like 4 years since it's been called GameStop, and yeah, a lot of memories going to EB Games on those times before it was called GameStop. So that's basically it. I say.
Okay. The only other thing I wanted to just mention really quickly, because I thought about it while you were talking about Carney and Trump, um,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
was yesterday, while going to, one of my appointments, um, which was in Whitby. I'm not sure if this car will still be there, but I hadn't seen it before. It was a Tesla, which you obviously see a lot of Teslas around, and sometimes you wanna wear your head into the windshield wiper, but anyways, besides the point. I thought it was Tesla, and I just happened to look up because I wasn't really I was parking, so I wasn't really paying much attention, um, and I kinda look up in front of me, and I see the Tesla in front of me, and it had the sticker, by the right under kinda underneath the right taillight, and it said, "I don't care for Elon Musk," and the Tesla symbol had duct tape over it. And I thought that was incredible because it's like, obviously, we haven't really talked a lot. We talked a bit about, obviously, um, Elon Musk and his
Yeah.
role in the administration, um, and kinda obviously where he stands with a lot of things.
And like I said, a lot of the episodes we talked about Elon Musk, I have never been a fan of him.
No.
I only been a fan of Warren Buffett, but before he just didn't like before Elon Musk, he was
Mhm,
like before he talked and tweeted about his politics, etc. Before then, he was well respected about Tesla, etc. All that stuff.
mhm.
Now there's some animosity.
There's something going on with him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
I don't.
mentally disturbed,
Yes.
really, and these are the people that we have in the administration who are representing the Trump administration. That says a lot about, the head of that administration, but I'll kind of leave Elon Musk alone for now, but, like, we've talked about him briefly, and kind of where he stands. So when we see people, I swear, I feel like
He
since
was.
Elon Musk has had so much heat in the last few months especially,
Yeah.
it's like the Teslas are everywhere, everywhere.
There's
Listen,
see, and that's the thing. People who support Tesla, I wonder if they do support Trump.
but I
There's a
don't know
there's
if that really goes
Canadian
hand in
supporters.
hand. I
Or
don't know if Trump supporters who are also purchasing Teslas, I don't think they go hand in hand. I'm sure for some they do, but I don't think it goes hand in hand because Teslas aren't cheap, right? But it's kind of like I feel as people who wanna go green, which, okay, fine, I'm all about,
that
but there's
too.
ways to go green without buying a Tesla. But the people who trying to go green,
I mean,
they like the Tesla,
yeah,
and which the Tesla's it's fine. But when that vehicle is now attached to a person who has made his views about not just politics,
mhm.
but just his views on social issues as well, very, very just out there. Um, how do we still purchase these damn Teslas? This
Oh
man
well,
makes so much money, and you as the consumer are the reason why he's making so much money. Which is why I refuse to ever be verified on Twitter,
oh
to X, whatever,
yeah,
with this podcast or my other podcast. It will never happen because I'm not putting money in his pocket, even if it's a little bit of money. I'm not doing it.
yeah. See, don't get me wrong. Tesla, those the cars are nice. The trucks are truck.
The
I actually
Cybertrucks are
fucking
ugly,
yeah, they're ugly as hell. I don't know
so
why
ugly.
people get them. I see a
I've
few,
seen one or two of the
seen a
Cybertrucks, and
few
they're
here.
ugly.
No, there's a few here too. And I
Yeah,
see,
they're
I'm like,
ugly.
why are people get because of what's inside of them? Like, what?
Ugh.
I understand the cars. The
Yeah,
cars,
but look on the outside, y'all. It's
yeah,
so bad.
it's just ugly. I'm
It's
like because
bad.
maybe because it's bulletproof in case someone just like wreck.
Who's shooting at you?
Yeah,
You normal,
yeah,
average
yeah,
day person.
yeah, yeah. It's
Who's shooting at you?
or they just want to flex. They're
I
their
bought a
wealth.
Cybertruck.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah, it's get over yourself.
that's the problem.
Ugh.
There's other companies that are going green. You see Toyota, you see
Yeah, this it has
Hyundai.
been going on for years now, not just with
Yeah,
Tesla.
yeah,
I
but
think Tesla
obviously,
kickstarted it really, really
yeah,
kickstarted it, which is I'm about that. I'm fine with that, but
yeah, yeah,
I just do not agree with the person who is at the head of Tesla.
yeah,
He is an asshole and needs to stop having children.
that too. I saw that as well.
That's how look, let's talk about go sorry. Let's talk about going green here. How about you eliminate the carbon footprint by stop having fucking children in my soul? Anyways.
yeah, but yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I just never. I was never a fan of him. I understand he was well respected during his Tesla run, and then he was a Obama supporter, and then he went on Trump's side because
He
I
was
don't know.
a he was an okay, hold on. Back up.
Yeah,
He was an
yeah,
Obama supporter.
Yeah, he did
He's a
support
pick-me
Obama.
girl. He is a
Yeah,
pick-me girl.
yes, he
I
is.
always thought he was a nerd.
Yes,
He is
yeah,
pick me. So
yes.
whoever's
I
in
feel like he.
power,
Yeah,
ugh.
I do get that vibe from him. When I see a lot of clips of it, I feel like that's what he is.
He gives me small energy, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, but
So
yeah, never a fan of him. Never wanted to inspire me. Like it was just Warren. I was Warren Buffett. Like Warren Buffett is like the quiet one that just makes his money.
yeah, Warren Buffett though has I've heard there's been some things about his views as well. I don't think
I
he's
mean,
perfect. No one is,
yeah, he's not. Obviously, he's a rich guy that
but
supports
he's
probably
not
Republicans.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
Elon Musk. He's like like I never heard anything other than like other than like him just investing his money in his like portfolios.
Mhm.
That is it. And then I mean, you want
I,
to hear like
I
a little here and there,
I
tiny
haven't
bit,
heard
but
like the details, but I heard there is some things about him.
what is that?
That's like I said, I haven't heard the details, but I've heard
Uh-huh.
people talk about the fact that he's not like we always think that he's like, as you said, quiet and kind of
Hmm,
keeps to
hmm.
himself and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Which does kind of seem that way. But I
Hmm.
think there has been things about him that's come out and that's not like in terms of his view sets and everything like that. Like I don't think he's someone to necessarily be proud of or like go home
Yeah.
about and be like, you're great. I don't think
Mhm.
that's like no. Apparently even Chuck Norris is the same thing. I've heard that too recently. And I'm like, oh, so we can't like anybody. So but
Obviously,
yeah.
Warren Buffett is. I wouldn't be surprised if he's Republican.
I think that's what I've
But I don't
heard.
know if he's a Trump. I haven't heard anything
I
Trump
don't know if he's a Trump
I don't think he
supporter.
I don't think
No.
I didn't think he's a and it's okay to be Republican.
It's okay to be a Republican. Yeah.
It's okay
Yeah.
because he has obviously this guy has money and it's relatable to his views, right? It's
Hmm.
basically what how he feels,
Hmm.
understandable. But like I don't hear him like in like those like we hear Trump in like sexual assaults or those type of dramas and making three
No,
hundred
no, I don't
million
think it's
dollars.
anything like that.
I haven't heard anything like that. And that's the that's a person. If I were to just like you know how people respect Elon Musk like in that way, if I were to scope somebody and just like inspire, that's the person you should be in that type of way. Not someone like Elon Musk, not someone like Donald Trump. Remember when Donald Trump was well respected in the 90s?
I don't know.
How you
Well respected is the right way to go, but more
I mean, he was
respected
like,
than today.
I mean,
Yeah.
he had his issues too. Like, he was
Yeah.
well, people like
He
saw his movement and said, I want to be
he
like
was
that.
liked enough to be appearing in
Yeah,
movies, TV shows, and stuff like that. Had his own
yeah,
TV show. So yes,
yeah,
he was more respected or at
yeah,
least
yeah,
tolerable than he is now. Yeah.
yeah. It was Trump, then Bill Gates, and now Bill Gates is going. I think it's Jeffrey Epstein that aura around him now too.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was there. Jeffrey, he was there too. He was in an island as well. Bill Gates as well. And now like
So
you
has
know,
wait, hold on, sorry. Can we back up a second?
you never heard of
Um, I mean, I knew there were people that were
him?
involved with Epstein, but I hadn't heard Bill Gates' name, actually, to be totally honest with
You
you.
see.
But has Ghislaine Maxwell released the list of who
No, no, no,
was
no.
at the
But he
island?
was he
Can
was
she
hanging. Bill
please?
Gates was hanging around with him. Bill Gates, and that's why
But so
his
is
wife.
Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has
Yeah,
been, oh, I never went to the island
that,
though.
yeah.
I
That's
wasn't
why
involved in any of that, which I don't believe for a second.
I think that's one of the reasons why his wife, Bill Gates, left him.
Yeah, because he's disgusting.
Yeah.
Not only
So
were you
he
cheating
he
on her, but you
probably
were cheating
knows
on her with
something
minors. So,
because she found something. She found a picture or something. I don't know what it was. Like,
oh,
yeah.
it gives me Prince Andrew vibes, which,
Yes.
by the way, I do want to talk about. I will be talking about that more in the bonus episode because it just recently happened at the time of recording this, which was just on the weekend. But one of the Epstein victims, or should I say survivors, who was very vocal in getting him
Mm.
behind bars,
Yeah.
and we all know how that turned out. I don't remember her last name, but Virginia, who was the woman who was in that picture with Prince Andrew, she recently passed away.
Mm.
So that was really heartbreaking to see. We'll talk about it more then, but um, let's just say that it was not natural causes because she was very young still. But um, yeah, it's really sad. When I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, that's really, really sad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
I was,
leave my husband too if I knew you were involved with anything that had to do with
yeah. I'm
potentially
surprised you
someone's
never heard
death
that.
too. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't heard anything about Boogie.
No, I didn't hear
When
about
I heard
Boogie.
that, I saw that, I was like, wow.
And I've heard other names. I've heard Donald Trump. I've heard um Clinton as well, which that's not surprising to me at
That's
all with
that.
his track record
Um.
um with younger,
Yeah.
sometimes minor women,
Yeah. Yeah.
girls.
I just remember a lot of buildings who were just used to be so respected, so like
Yeah.
people wanted to be like them and wanted to be like a millionaire, billionaires. Trump, like I said, Trump was one of them.
Hmm.
Bill Gates was one of them.
Hmm.
I do think Warren Buffett is
There's
still
others.
one of them, but
There's
Elon
rumors that
Musk.
maybe even Ellen DeGeneres was on that island. I've heard rumors about that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. There has been also rumors that Ellen DeGeneres was potentially involved with some of Diddy's parties as well, because there's the thing, we have Epstein and then we have Diddy, who's doing very similar things, or who was doing very similar things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's rumors that Ellen was could have been a part of those as well, because she was very close friends with him.
Yeah.
Similar to the whole Jay-Z thing as well. But
That one got nixed as well though. That what's it called?
it did, but and legally speaking, yes, it did. Um, so but
The truth came out. That one.
I want to be careful with my words here, but what I will say is we'll never fully know the truth of what really happened. It legally being dismissed doesn't mean that it didn't happen necessarily. Not saying it did.
I mean,
Um,
I heard that the Lord's client had some type of was it autism or something like that? And
but let's be very
something
careful. Just because you're autistic does not mean anything.
didn't
Autism
remember.
is not a mental illness. Um, it can bring on mental illnesses if you also
Yeah,
are autistic, but it's not a mental disorder. So
yeah,
autism does not mean anything. It just means that
yeah,
she
yeah,
is autistic,
yeah,
and what I think potentially could have done is use her autism against her.
yeah. And,
So that's what I'm trying to say is just
and
because they were able to legally dismiss it does not mean it didn't happen. It just means that they didn't have enough evidence to keep it going. That's all it means.
I
So
also
yeah,
heard, I also heard like the dad wasn't there or something like that. Something like that, some ish like
the
that. Or
dad wasn't there. What do
yeah,
you mean?
like because I think that she said the dad dropped her off, but the dad doesn't remember dropping her off to the VMAs or whatever. So I don't know. It's confusing. Like and that's why I read. It was from TMZ or whatever. So like yeah.
But just because you, as her father, didn't drop her off at the VMAs does not mean that she didn't go to the VMAs.
Yeah. I don't know.
You
I
could have
think
dropped her off
uh,
somewhere else and then she found her way to the VMAs. What?
yeah.
Again, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see the correlation somehow, unless like someone's lying with, but like why, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many billionaires again being dropped off. Like I said, Diddy's been one of those billionaires that was highly respected in the black community. Now he has no respect.
Yeah, but again, I
People
think,
wanting to
and
be
we
like
talked
every
about Diddy, but
every
I
yeah.
I think with Diddy is that a lot of the writing was on the wall with him
Mhm,
throughout. Like he was maybe respected, yes, in the Black community for those people who were not directly involved with him.
mhm,
For the people who were directly involved with him,
mhm.
would probably have said differently even 30 years ago.
Yeah,
And I think we're the only difference is that we're finding this out now,
yeah,
where
yeah.
we didn't know
Because
that
it
before.
was covered. It was covered really well over the years.
Of course,
I don't know the reason
because it
why.
could be, you know? And again, that's just like another example. Like same thing with R. Kelly, same thing with him.
Yeah,
Um, it was covered up because women didn't have a voice in the same way we do now. We're trying to take our voices back. Um, so it's kind of like, oh, who cares? That that's happening to a woman. And again, it's like, who cares
mhm,
at the same time? Because again, a lot of the women that Diddy was doing this to, um, or a lot of people, not even just women, but people that he was doing this to were Black people. Same thing with R. Kelly. A lot of the women that he was doing this to were Black women. Um, you do, or not even just Black women, but there was obviously other one Latina girl and whatever, but she went through things as well. And it's kind of again where you have Black women are the ones that are being perpetrated against. We are not respected. We are double whammied. Not only are we a woman, but we're Black. Um, and so we are not being respected or listened to um, at all. Not even the same way, but just not at all. So that's why these men, especially Diddy and R. Kelly, were able to um, do what they did.
mhm.
And not even, and then we kind of go into the Weinsteins or the Bill Cosbys, where Bill Cosby wasn't just targeting Black women; he was targeting all kinds of women. But with Weinstein, obviously he was whomever. That's a man in power. We're in power, so you're going to do what we want you to do, which is another thing that women deal with as well. So
Yeah,
that's how these men were able to get away with it for years and years and years until finally women are like, to hell with this, we're done with this. And yeah, you can kind of take your power back. We got a lot of work to do. That's that's why most women, those people, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Diddy, R. Kelly, and many more to come, and many more that came before those people. Those are the real reason that women always pick the bear. Because at least we know what the bear is going to do. We don't know what men are going to do. We can't trust them.
yeah, and that's crazy. Well,
Yeah, well,
just,
this got
there's
dark. This is going to be a fun
not many,
episode.
like, there's not many like role models to look at, like,
No,
other
there
than role
isn't.
models that already have her, one, well, 50 and then very Tannenbaum. So, those are my three. I would say those are my three role models. And I question 50 some. Don't get me wrong, I question 50 sometimes and why. Well, I'm questioning the guy before he got rich. That uh, but
All right.
but yeah, yeah, those are my role models. But it's a good thing I wouldn't like role models of those guys like the Diddy's, the Elon Musk,
Yeah,
the,
no,
s-
I
the
never even half of the people that I've just talked about, like aside from Bill Cosby though, because that
yeah,
was a blow.
yeah.
When I found that out, I'm like, are you
Oh yeah,
serious? Like
it was probably a blow to a lot of because yeah, I
especially
remember.
people in the Black community,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Then I mean, the Cosby Show was a show that I watched religiously every day as a child
So
and loved, and to
so
kind of see that happen, it's like the hell.
so what hit harder for you? That what hit hard? Was it R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, or Diddy?
100% Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
'Cause I didn't like R. Kelly as a person. There was always something off about him for me,
Mhm.
and I've talked about it with Diddy. I hated him. I didn't care for him. I didn't care that he was, like, this pioneer to it, like, "Okay, fine, sure, I'll respect you for the fact that you brought artists out that I listen to and I like, but
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily one of my favorite artists. I didn't respect the fact that he didn't write his own lyrics. I didn't care for him. I just did never did. So that was not a blow for me. It was surprising, but it wasn't a blow for me. R. Kelly, R. Kelly wasn't surprising
Mhm,
because it was all out there. That's the thing. R. Kelly was doing his out on the outside,
mhm.
right? He marries a girl who is a child, and we all act like it's okay. Um, he is charged for pissing on another one.
Oh, I
We
remember
all
that.
knew this. It
Yeah,
was
we
all
we
out
were
there.
yeah, we were questioning it, and then we
Not just
just roll
question,
past
it
it.
was
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
He went to court for that,
yeah, roll
and he
past
was
it.
acquitted.
We ignored it. We just basically,
Exactly.
it just happened, on at 16, was it 15 or 16? 16-year-old, 15, 16-year-old.
What do you mean?
It was just like,
Who he
another Elvis
was?
situation, like,
Who? Sorry, who we're talking about?
uh, R. Kelly.
The one that he quote unquote pissed on? That's
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking
but
about?
like,
She was 14.
didn't Elvis like date someone that's 16? I don't know if it's for the time. It was
Not
at the time.
dated, he married.
Married, yeah,
Priscilla
yeah,
Presley was 15
yeah.
at the time that he
I
and
know the
her got
times are different.
married.
I had to question.
Yeah, but that's the thing too, is that people, we want to say, oh, it was the time. And sure, maybe, but we look at it now through the lens of today and we're just like,
Yeah.
but he was 25 and she was 15, so what? Like, what are we talking about here? And sure, like it's they got married. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have had they wouldn't have had their child and all of that. They would have Lisa Marie Presley. But it's like, but she was a child. Did we forget that? And that's a tough one for people. I think that's a tough pill for people to swallow because the difference is if Elvis Presley was still alive, he would be getting his handed to him the same way a lot of these other artists have gotten the handed to them,
Mhm.
but he died. He's dead. So that's a tougher pill for people to swallow because it's now things that people are coming to realize today, 40 years after his death. 40 plus years after his death. He's been dead almost 50 years. So, yeah, so about 50 or close to 50 years after his death, people are now starting to talk about it. But he's been
Mm,
dead for 50 years. So that's not something people were talking about,
yeah,
back in 77 and before when he was alive.
yeah,
Talking about it now.
yeah.
It's not like with Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael Jackson's dead,
Mhm,
but they talked about these things when he was alive. So that's different,
mhm,
right? People don't feel as bad saying, well, him because he potentially quote unquote I don't I, you know where my beliefs are at with that, but he allegedly molested children as well. But they talked about that when he was alive, right?
mm,
So it's not as hard for people to talk about that. But with Elvis, it is because he was dead before that even happened, before they talked about it. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, yeah, I know, but
yeah. But yes, to
I
answer your
see.
question, hands
It's
down, Bill Cosby was harder for me. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's
Because it wasn't expected. This is a guy who's a comedian. He
mhm,
did like
that's it.
Kids Say the Darndest Things. He had
Yeah,
that.
the
He had,
kid shows. Yeah,
yeah, he is Bill Cosby. He is beloved.
yeah,
So then when all of this came out, you're just like,
mhm,
and you see one woman after another, after another, after another. And one of them, for the people who watched like Top Model, Janice Dickinson was one of the people that came out and said that, oh yeah, he did this to me too. And I was like, holy shit. Like this one woman after another. That is like, okay, all of your stories are similar. How can any of you be lying? And he was one of the first men who got Me Too'd. He was one of the first ones. So it was him and Weinstein were one of the first ones. And it's just like, wow. Like, how was this going on? Then meanwhile, he's going and playing America's favorite dad. How does those things correlate? It's that's the part for me, I'm just like, "Whoa," I can't wrap my mind around it. I still to this day cannot wrap my mind around it. I still, like, even like, I haven't watched Bill Cosby The Cosby Show since it happened, but I've seen clips and stuff like that, on, like, Facebook or whatever, and I feel guilty even watching that and smiling because I'm like, "Okay, but then on his breaks, he was doing what he was doing with these women." Like, it's that's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I for me, I would say I would say it was actually Diddy.
really?
I just like I wasn't into I didn't really follow him that way. I only followed the the executive producer and the music genius. I only followed that, but I wasn't like a close follower. You know what I'm saying? Like the person that like reads about him, about his, Kim Porter and etc.
Yeah, no,
I
I
only
didn't
found this
either.
out. Only found this out like a couple of years ago, and now I'm just like, it's you know, it is what it is. Rich people get away with a lot of stuff, da da da, this and that. And
Always.
then the big news came that what happened to what's her name?
Cassie.
That Cassie, the video footage. I was like, oh, and then more shit came, like Kim Porter, what she did, made a book, etc. All that stuff about Diddy, etc. Like I was like, wow, okay. I'm once again, I wasn't like a huge like I wasn't a huge fan of Diddy, but but I kind of a little bit respected him in a way, right?
Yeah, I
So
respected him as a like I said before, as a pioneer, a
yes, that's what.
part of this of giving us music
Mhm,
that we all jam to today, you know? I respected him on that front. As a person, I'm just like, "Mm,
mm-mm,
mm, I don't know." That's kinda how I feel about Mariah Carey too, like, love her music.
mhm,
I respect her as a person who can sing, especially back in the '90s. The girl could sing, okay? And I love her music, and I've grown up with her music, and I still listen to her music, but I don't like her as a person. I think she's full of herself. I mean, she's allowed to be, she is who she is, but
Mariah Carey.
yeah, but
I,
it's
I think she's allowed. Like look at the Christmas albums she made. Jesus, Christmas songs.
what do you mean?
I think she's allowed. I would like fooling myself like every time on Christmas song comes to when the
But
Christmas
it's not
holiday
even just
comes.
about her Christmas music either, it's just, like,
Uh,
she has a huge
you,
catalog of music,
yeah, I know, but like
before that too, right?
she's more famous because of that.
Ah,
Uh,
ooh,
I I
ooh.
I don't really hear people talk about. Don't get me wrong. I don't really hear people talk about like Mariah Carey's
Are
music.
you insane?
I don't know. I don't have heard anything since
Are
the
you
Eminem.
insane?
I haven't
I
heard.
can name easily 10 Mariah Carey songs right
I mean,
right
because
here,
you're probably
right now.
it's probably because you're
That's
like she's a
not a
fan, but like
Christmas song.
she's not like buzzing. Like
She's maybe not now,
yeah.
okay? But
But
even
back then,
10
yes,
years ago, yeah,
yes, yeah,
she
yeah, yeah,
still
yeah, I
was.
agree that. But like now, but like
Because
yeah,
she hasn't really come out with new music per se. She doesn't need to. She can live off the music she's already made
yeah.
that are still like going strong here. But the radio must play Mariah Carey multiple times a day and different songs, not just like the one song. So, what are you talking about? Mariah Carey is, they classify her as a diva. She's huge. Nick Cannon, how in the did he land Mariah Carey is beyond me, okay, at all, because
She has a
she is
nice.
superior.
You don't know she's not has a nice personality. You don't know.
I'm not talking about her, him liking her. I'm talking about how he even got a chance with her.
Yeah, that's
That's what I'm talking about.
maybe she's sweet in
Her.
person. Maybe
Huh?
she's like deep down. Maybe deep down you have to just like get to know her a little bit more, and then
But I'm not talking okay, but that puts the onus on him.
Mhm,
That, like, that's more me that makes it sound like I'm saying, "Oh, why would Nick wanna be with Mariah Carey?" No, no, no,
mm,
you're mistaking what I just said. I said,
mm.
"Why would Mariah Carey wanna be with him?" That's what I
Yeah, I
said.
mean, you probably was she probably just found him charming and, funny, and I
You're
mean, he is
young.
a comedian. You
You're
kinda look at it a
young.
little bit of a comedian. He's not like the greatest
Mm.
I wouldn't say Dave Chappelle's a great comedian because I don't think he's that funny anymore.
Who?
Um,
Who'd you say is not funny?
Dave Chappelle.
I feel like people are gonna
It
come for you.
shows he's
I
more
feel
of
like
the
people are gonna come for you on Dave Chappelle.
I think he's more of a
That
he's more of a visual comedian than he is like a stand-up, in
understood.
my opinion.
Listen, I'm not, like, against that. I particularly am not a huge fan of Dave Chappelle either, but I never would have voiced that on a podcast. You're
I'll voice that.
you're
I
brave.
I will voice I'll voice that 100%.
The
As a
only thing I have ever really consumed Dave
mhm,
Chappelle is in Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence.
I told
That's it.
I told my friends that I'm not a fan of Dave Chappelle. Like
Yeah,
I don't think
no. I would
I
never have admitted that. You're
I
brave.
don't think he's funny at all. They think he's funny. I just don't understand. Like he tells them
No.
that I heard
Y
before, like 10 years ago or 15
Yeah,
years
no. You know who I think I'll always think, and I haven't really, like, seen a lot of recent stuff with him, but who I'll always think is funny is, like, of today's generation of anyways of
ago.
comedians, is,
Mhm.
like, Cat Williams or,
I mean,
like
Cameron is not that bad.
no, Cat Williams is funny. Um,
He might be a visual like, there's a
but
difference between
that's
being
the
a
thing too. That's
visual
the thing too.
comedian.
He is a
Yeah.
he is a visual comedian, but it's yeah, for me, though, I'm always gonna have to give the props to the OGs. I'm gonna Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy,
Wayne's the Wayne's
Steve Harvey, you know, Bernie
Eddie
Mac.
Murphy's.
Bernie Mac doing stand-up,
Yeah,
thought he was incredible.
yeah. Eddie Murphy as well. Eddie
Eddie
Murphy.
Murphy is incredible. He's incredible as a stand-up comedian. Um, he's
You
hilarious.
you said Robbie Williams, right?
No, I have never actually seen his stand-up acts.
You know what I'm saying?
No, never saw his stand-up acts.
I seen a couple of clips.
But again, Robin Williams he is when I think Robin Williams, he is a visual comedian, right? Yeah, he was a visual comedian. So, I think that's who I think about. I said Richard Pryor. Richard
Mhm.
Pryor. That's OG, y'all. And if you don't know who Richard Pryor is, or you haven't seen any of his shows, you're incorrect. You need to start over. You need to start life over. You need
Jamie Foxx is more funny than Dave Chappelle. I put my hand
I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think Kevin Hart's hilarious. But
mm,
he not every one of his stand-up acts are, like, really, really good, but there's, like, one of his earlier stand-up acts
yeah.
is hilarious.
His earlier stuff as
His
a
earlier stuff was
visual
good.
comedian, it
Yeah.
was then his later stuff kinda got, like,
Eh,
shoved in our faces every single time, like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
you
we
can't keep
understand the
talking about how you cheated on your
comedian, let's see."
ex-wife.
Yeah, yeah,
You
and
know?
then he just went into a lot of comedy movies, and I'm like, "Let's see if you can do something else, like, be more heartfelt or something, like, be more
Heartfelt. Did you
different."
see what he did there?
But he did a couple of serious movies, yeah. I can't remember what they were, but he did a few. He did a couple or few
But
movies. That was
I do like Kevin Hart, though, that's the thing.
yeah.
Kevin Hart is near and dear to my heart. See what I did there? Um, I do love him. Um, but yeah, some of the movies could seem repetitive or whatever because they all kind of felt similar in that sense, but like I've said before, I love his friendship with, Dwayne Johnson, and when they did Central
Right.
Intelligence. I think they are hilarious together. I think they need to do a new, well, they have done other movies together, obviously, they did Jumanji. But,
The Upside. Yeah, The Upside. It
yeah,
was a little bit serious, yeah.
yeah,
He had a little comedic self in him. I
yeah.
think The Toronto Man, he did a movie called The Toronto. You heard about that one? Toronto Man.
No, no.
Let me see, hold on. Toronto. I don't think it's about Toronto. I think yeah, Toronto Man movie. Yep. The Man from Toronto. Okay. The Man from Toronto.
And who
Kevin Hart and Woody Harrison.
Woody
Uh,
Harrelson, okay.
yeah,
And it's about a man from Toronto,
I think that's what it's. Let me just
played by a man who's from Philadelphia.
a case
Kevin
mistaken.
Hart's from Philly.
Entrepreneur teamed up with a notorious assassin known as the Man from Toronto.
Hmm.
Hopes to still be alive. Huh. Doesn't say that man's from Toronto, but the title is just Man from Toronto. So I don't know if the film was based in Toronto or I don't know if the film is about Toronto. Let me see. No, no, just to give you that description. A case mistaken identity forces a bubbling entrepreneur to team up with. It doesn't say anything about it. It's just the same description. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's also not forget about the women in comedy, though. Like,
Hmm?
trying to think about, oh shoot, what is her name? I cannot
There's Amy Schumer. She's not funny.
she's not funny.
What's her name? Tiffany.
Tiffany Haddish.
She's not funny.
I would disagree on that one.
What's
Um,
what's her name?
does she just stand up? Or like are just thinking like movies? I think she's funny in movies.
I don't know. I think I have bad experiences
Okay.
with her.
All right. Well, I would disagree on that one, but
Uh,
okay.
you,
Um,
you call do you call Tyler Perry as a comedian or
who?
Tyler Perry as a
He is
comedian?
not a comedian. No, where you got that from? Tyler Perry's not a
I
comedian.
mean, that's Medea. That's a comic
Yeah, but
visual.
okay, but because I was talking more stand-up comedy. He's not a stand-up comedian,
Wanda's.
but yeah. Sorry, let me just finish with Tyler Perry. He's not a comedian. We have to remember with Medea, he really draws that from experiences. He coined Medea's character from his aunt. So, yeah, you could consider him a comedian in that sense, but he's taking something from his own experience and creating that into a character. But I would not classify Tyler Perry as a comedian.
Mm. And then Wanda Skies. Wanda
Wanda
Scott.
Sykes.
Is it Sykes or Scott? Okay.
Sykes. She's
I heard
hilarious. She is
she
hilarious.
her stand-up is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Monique, I think she's funny on both sides, visual and she can be a comedian as well.
Yeah, I haven't I do remember Monique being funny. I haven't seen a lot of her lately. That's why
Yeah,
this
but she hasn't been doing.
yeah.
I think she just kind of like slowly retired. She just
Yeah.
so like
You know, Monique is funny.
yeah, she is.
Seeing her in Precious was an experience
Mm.
because never seen her in such a serious role like that before.
Oh wait, was she on Power or was she on what do you call it? BMF. That was the last part that she was on. I know 50 got her to do something because like the situation between her and Tyler Perry,
Mm,
Monique and Tyler Perry,
didn't hear about that.
because I think because like Tyler Perry was doing a pilot project and then did not end up paying Monique,
Mm,
so they had some type of issues with each other. Still think they still have issues with each other. That's how I remember. That's what she basically said in an interview quite a bit ago. Remember she was ranting about Netflix how they didn't pay her enough
interesting.
because like they paid her like 500,000. They paid another actress a million or something like that, or they paid someone that was high status more money than her, and
Mm,
she wanted more money because like But I think Netflix was looking at it, looking at her like what have you done lately, right, to earn that much money. So that's why I think they went below the belt. So and then she was just like going on a tour based on it, going on a rant tour, like going on radio stations basically, and just like saying that like Netflix did this, Netflix did that. They don't want to pay me the big money, but to pay this person. So and yeah, but yeah. It's yeah,
Well,
a lot of great comedians out there. Um,
yeah,
who are, who are funny. A lot of ones that are not funny. And yeah,
yeah. And I know one particular comedian that you definitely won't think is funny.
Will
And for
Ferrell.
those of you, yeah, for those people who don't know what we're talking about, we talked about Elf during Christmas this past Christmas series, and yeah,
He's in the bottom.
he hated it.
I don't like. I hate. Well,
He hated that it was Will Ferrell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adam. People find Adam Sandler not funny,
You're
but
all incorrect.
as a visual comedian, it's actually not bad. He's not bad.
I
He's
love
not the
Adam Sandler.
greatest, but
No, he's not the greatest, but
he's not bad.
I love
And
Adam Sandler.
he's done a couple series movies since then. Like, I liked it. I
Yeah.
think one is called Hustle. Let me see Hustle.
The one that's on, he also did that, well, that one that he did with Jennifer Aniston. Um, that was supposed to be not a comedy per se. It was more serious. That it's on Netflix. I hadn't even watched it yet.
Yeah, Hustle.
One
Yeah,
of these days, I will
yeah,
watch it.
yeah. That's is it Hustle. Oh, yeah, Hustle. There we go. Hustlers. That's the
Hustlers is with JLo.
JLo. That was oh, it was rated high. That was interesting. Okay, 6.3 out of 10. Um, but yeah. Adam Sandler is not he's not bad. He's not bad as a comedian, but I prefer him. If you were to replace somebody, I prefer Adam Sandler over Will Ferrell 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Even though he can make stupid jokes at times. 100%. Will
Yeah.
Ferrell makes stupid jokes all the time. It just goes through one ear and through the other.
But I think that's Will Ferrell's thing. I think his thing is to be stupid. I think, and I think for some people it works for them. Like Will Ferrell was never one of my favorite people to watch. I love Elf because I felt like, and especially because of what they were looking for with Elf, with Buddy, I should say. Um, he fits the bill. Especially what he was doing then. He really fit the bill. So I think, yes, Will Ferrell is one of those stupid comedians, but I think he does that purposefully. I think that is just his thing.
Mm,
And that's even Amy Schumer. I would say she is more of one of those like stupid comedians,
mhm.
but that's her thing. And it can work for them,
What's
right?
your what's your opinion on Jerry Seinfeld?
Jerry Seinfeld, you mean, right?
Yeah, Seinfeld. Yeah.
Um, I feel like Jerry Seinfeld is really before my time though.
Mhm.
Um, and I haven't really watched a lot of his stand-up. I honestly haven't watched a lot of Seinfeld to really,
Uh,
give a lot here.
yeah, I think.
I've
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I feel like I've watched a bit of Seinfeld that I can give something, but
Mhm.
it I think with the show, so which again, doing a
Mhm.
comedy show versus stand-up is so different.
Mhm.
But I think like of the time, it was funny, and I think it can still be funny. Um, but I can't speak on, like, a lot of his stand-up or him being, like, not in a controlled environment like a show
Mhm. Mhm.
to really say anything. I think I've only ever seen him maybe a couple of times outside of Seinfeld in the more recent years.
Mhm.
So I can't even say much about Jerry Seinfeld because I just I haven't seen a lot of him to say a lot. I'm sure he's funny in an extent that he's
Oh
also
yeah.
taking life events. Like he's Jewish, he's a New Yorker. Like he can kind
Mhm,
of
mhm,
talk about life in that sense, and I'm
mhm.
sure it's funny. But I don't know. I don't have a lot to say much about him besides like the little bit I've seen of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think if I watched Seinfeld back then, I wouldn't think it's funny. If I watch Seinfeld now, I probably will
But
be
wouldn't it
around.
have been the opposite? Because we were dum
But
dums in the 90s.
I mean, you haven't experienced stuff that you did in what you did right now.
Oh yeah, because you're talking in sense of being a child and then
Yeah,
and now being an
yeah,
adult. Yeah, I
yeah.
understood.
Because I think a lot of it spoke about like adult issues, and
Mhm. And a lot
I
of things go
probably
over
would.
our heads as kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You just don't know. You just don't. It's, yeah, and then our family understood it and laughed, and we didn't
Mhm.
understand it at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's lots of movies like that, especially like,
hmm
you know, Shrek or like whatever, like I was thinking movies back
hmm
then
hmm
that they always have jokes for the parents, right?
hmm
That they'll understand but we won't.
hmm
So when you're an adult, it's like, oh, you know, and that's how, it should be. Like even like, I feel like a
hmm
lot of millennials as adults will really talk, like really do like these funny videos or whatever about like listening to a song and not realizing what we're listening to because like the 90s was a time in terms of some of the music that they did, like, Too Close or Heads High. It's like, oh damn. We're like 6, 7 years old talking about sex, y'all, and we didn't know it. You know? Um, I mean, I was 16 years old when I realized what Heads High was really about. I'm like, oh, oh. And my mom would just let me sing that song.
hmm
Meanwhile, and I don't like this is kinda a little bit somewhat a little bit off topic, but I remember listening to that song with my mom, singing the words of the song. I have no clue what I'm saying. I'm 6, y'all, okay? I have no clue what I'm saying, and I remember a friend of hers who was a guy and Jamaican, and he was like, "Does she does she know what the song's about?" And she's like my mom's like, "No, of course not, because 'cause I'm 6." But I'm hearing this, and I'm like, "What do you mean? What's the song about?" 16 years old. I'm listening to that song, and it was when he said "skin your teeth," and I'm like, "Oh my god." Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and I'm just like, "How did my mom let me listen to this at 6?" I was clutching my pearls at 16 years old. But that's the thing, like, we're not supposed to know these things as kids, and so just enjoy it, whether it's movies, television shows, music, or whatever. Just enjoy it, and then when you're an adult, you're like, "Jesus." But, yeah, so
yeah, okay.
anything else?
I have nothing else for this 100 episode. I was going to talk about like generations.
Yeah, we could talk
Actually,
about that.
let's talk about that actually. So like, do you think they named the new generation uh Generation Beta?
Yeah, I think we talked about this, or we will be talking about this. I think we did, but we could
Yeah.
talk about it again, yeah.
Uh, from I believe. Let me just check.
So we had Generation Alpha, now we have Beta.
Yeah. So 20. Oh wow. Obviously, so it's not letting me. It just wants goes down to alpha, right? So like, I'm just trying. Oh, there we go. There's the beta. All right. So okay. So generation beta is from 2025 to 2040.
Mhm.
It makes us feel old. So do you think the next generation will have it more easier than previous generations?
100%. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I'm most likely, at this point, going to hopefully have,
Yeah.
a Generation Beta child, and the things that, they will have access to that we did not,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, they're definitely gonna have it easier,
Mm,
but I also think it's important, because I'm assuming the majority of the people who will be having, Generation Beta, children will be, um, millennials into Gen Z, frick, maybe even alpha. Um, so yeah, it's
2020. Alpha's 2011 to 2025. So how
yeah,
old?
but it's very possible that a Gen Alpha will have a beta.
16.
Think
Is that
about that.
15 years? Is that 16 years?
What do you mean?
15. 2011 is
But remember,
14.
you said it goes from 2025 to 2040. So,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
said
yeah,
that
yeah.
Alpha runs from, you said
2011.
2011,
20. How
right?
old was it? How would that be? Like 2011
So,
to
like, if say they're like
2014?
20, they're 20, for example, when they have a child,
Uh,
just to put it out there, they will, that'll be in 2031. They'll be 20 years old and we're still in the beta. But
uh,
even an alpha who was born in 2011 or even 2012, they will, they'll be having kids or almost about to start having kids.
yeah, I will be just like the boomers or the Gen X's. So
Yeah,
we're pretty down there. We're good at
they're gonna say, "Okay, millennials." That's what's gonna happen.
that. Yeah, right? Right. Yeah, we're pretty much there. Like it's a good thing that we're experiencing a lot of this stuff, like that, a lot of the resources that the Alpha Gen Z Alpha and yeah, Gen Z and Alpha, let's say Beta is going to probably experience a lot more uh, stuff in the future, but uh, I'm more sad about like the silent baby boomers and some of the Gen X's, because I know some Gen X's are really cool, right? Are okay like with learning new stuff, being open with new stuff, but there's like a lot of Gen X's that are just like, you can't teach a dog old dog new tricks, you know, like
We're saying that with Gen Xers.
yeah, yeah,
I guess if you're an older Gen X, I guess maybe, but
yeah,
like, I mean, the silent generation. That's my grandparents' generation.
yeah. You can't,
That
yeah, yeah, definitely. The silent generation and the baby boomers are definitely the types that are basically like, you can't teach a dog old dog new tricks. They
yeah.
don't want to learn nothing new. They just want to keep the old ways. The old ways, it's the old
But we're
ways.
all gonna be guilty of that, whether
Yeah.
it's a silent generation, boomer, whatever. When they are, don't want to think about that right now, but
Mm-hmm.
when they're gone,
Mm-hmm.
we're in their, where the Gen X becomes the silent,
Mm-hmm.
the millennials become the boomers. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be the same way.
I think I don't know. I
We're gonna
feel
be the
like
same way.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think millennials are more open to experimenting on new things than the silent and baby boomers.
Yeah, but that's
They're
now
more
because we're younger. But
yeah
I'm talking about when we're older.
older. I don't know. I
We're
think I'll
we're we're
probably
probably gonna be stuck in our ways
I
and
think
not wanna change things. I'm
mhm,
already
mhm.
like that.
I don't know.
I'm already
Cause
like
like
that.
each time I want to each time I hear something new, I want to experiment or look into it or do some research about it. Like when I hear something like this like AI or something like that, I want to hear about it. Like I'm late to the part. I want to relate to the part, but like I most likely will get into something like that or some new tech is coming or uh the way how you do things, whatever. Like I'm gonna be more open to doing that because I want to just like see how it is. Like I want to know what I'm doing because I don't want to be too out of touch, right? That's what it is. Like I don't want to be out of touch because your child's gonna know, like wants to know these stuff. Like what's this? What's that? What's this and that? You don't want to be too out of touch, right? So like um,
Yeah,
I
but
saw.
again, you're thinking from a perspective of you are in your late 30s, you're
Hmm.
still young,
Hmm.
you have the mind, the
Yeah,
capacity,
yeah,
the
yeah,
strength to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
But when I think about when you're older,
Mhm,
to a degree, maybe, yes, you'll be open to learning new things,
mhm,
but there could also be to a point where it's like, meh,
I
you
probably
know?
will be I probably will be out of touch, but like I think I will have the resources like my computer and my laptop to just know what's going on and what's happening in the world, right? But um like I don't know the new slang, obviously, because
No,
I
me
haven't been
neither.
on school.
That's what
I
really
haven't
us
been
out
on
of
school.
touch.
That's the only thing I don't know. But I
Yeah, we're really
know,
out of touch because we
yeah,
don't know that.
that's the one. That's the word
And
that I'm thinking of.
I don't have the desire to learn what that is.
Yeah,
You know
no.
what I mean?
Slang is like, nah, that's the only thing I would probably be okay not learning. But like other stuff like tech and what's new and what's cool and like I'll probably be a little bit late, let the others like go ahead and do it first and see, I do my research about it first and then do it. So yeah, yeah. So I understand I probably will be a little bit out of touch, a little bit, but not as much as, the silent. I would like the silent and the baby generation. I feel like yeah, and it's okay. And I understand that. You don't want to touch it because you don't know. You don't know how safe it is. You like your ways works the best, which is understandable. So, yeah. But Gen Zs and Alpha are just I think and also the millennials, I think I know some millennials were just out of touch at this age too. Like I have a friend who just won't touch electronic, won't touch anything that's like electronic, or doesn't know anything about like AI, doesn't know anything about online, hardly knows anything about online banking, doesn't know does things like the old way, the same thing like what Gen X does. Like most Gen X's do
Don't
things
say
like
most Gen X's. Not all Gen X's.
no, I understand some Gen X's do. Like I feel like I can't put a percentage on it because I don't really I feel like Gen X's do it the old way. Like they're caught
Mm,
between I feel
mm.
like the
Depends
baby
on what
boomers
year they're
and
born.
millennials in a way. I feel like Gen X is like caught between those two generations, right? Where we're caught between the Gen X and the Gen Zs in a little bit of a way, right? So yeah,
Yeah, but I think it also depends on what year you're born in.
hmm
Um,
that too, that too.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, even then though, like when I hear people who are like I think about my mom, who's not like a young Gen X, but she's not, I don't know exactly. I think Gen X
19
starts in this. When does Gen X start?
Gen X starts at 1965 to 1980. My mom's a baby boomer, but she's good. Go ahead.
My mom and both my parents are Gen X. My dad would be considered more of a older Gen X. My mom too, I guess, would be considered an older Gen X as well. But my
Older,
dad
older Gen X after 1980, or is it 1981?
older, but I mean older, I mean like closer to when it started. Younger would be when it's closer to when it's ending.
Okay.
Right. So older Gen X, like
Yeah.
my dad, who's a couple years older than my mom, isn't particularly tech savvy. Um, but then like my mom, like I wouldn't say she's overly tech savvy, but she can handle her own with it. And then there's like my boss, who's maybe a few years younger than my mom, and he's gotten better.
So is
He's not
he
great, but he's gotten better.
in terms of what is your boss like? What's he not?
One of the very first things that this man ever said to me when I started working for him 8 years ago, when I put a calendar invite, like basically how I like do things with the scheduling things is I'll put it in my calendar and then I'll send it to him. So he will see it, he'll get a notification and he has to accept it, right? Still do that to this day. So the first thing this man ever said to me was, Why is why is that appointment grayed out in my calendar? And I said, Because you have to accept it. That was one of my very first indications of, "Oh god, this man does not understand technology." And even now, like, he'll 'cause obviously Zoom has become a thing, obviously, like, we're using Zoom to record
Mhm,
this.
mhm,
Zoom has become a thing, and he's scheduled to, um, appointments, stuff like that, through his account because the lawyers have unlimited time, obviously. Um, so I was scheduling it through his thing, but then I will send the Zoom invite to the people for whom are
mhm,
going to be attending, right?
mhm.
And I don't put it in his calendar because he's the one who is the host. He just has to open the Zoom and click start. But my boss comes to me and says, The Zoom link isn't in my calendar. How do I get the Zoom link?" Open your Zoom app and hit start.
Mhm.
That was just 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
This is my boss. But, um, I'll give him a break. You know, I won't say exactly how old he is, but we'll just say he is in his early 50s, but, it's
Yeah, yeah, and you understand, like,
yeah.
he's like, he I think he mostly respects the old ways and doesn't, you know
And that's the thing. He
y
was mentored by a guy who is a part of the silent generation, okay?
yes. And
And
that's the thing. Yeah,
this guy,
yeah,
I won't say names, but I'll just say PB because that'll help me in my brain here.
yeah.
Um, he was oh God. He
Mhm,
comes to me and he says to me, because I was assisting him at one point when his assistant was diagnosed with cancer and then later passed away. But he comes to me and he's like, "I need help. Can you come help me with something?" And I said, "Okay." So I go and I help him with something. He's like, I oh God. I drafted the email, but now I don't know how to send it. Are you with me?
mm,
I said, "What?" In my head. I didn't say it out loud. I'm like, "How did you hit draft an email or start an email, but you don't know how to then send it?" Because it has the huge send button that you click when you're done drafting. This man drafted the entire email and then comes to me and says, "How do I send it?" I was flabbergasted.
mhm,
I'm like, "You can't be serious." Oh my God. Uh, And my friend, because he's actually the same age as my grandmother doesn't know how to handle the computer to save her life. But my my friend who I started my other podcast with, so Ava, I mentioned her before, when I met her, with her assisting him because they need to find someone else to assist him. I can't handle both of them. But, they hired her, and that's how we and her became friends. And I was really helping her with, like, knowing how to do things and training her and stuff like that, so it's really helping her with that. And she comes to me one day, and she's like, "Oh my god." And I'm like, "What? What happened?" She's like, "Sorry, guys, we had to pause there for a second. What were we saying?"
talking about generations and all that stuff,
Oh,
and
right, right, right. Um
I think I think your grandparents, how the older generation done
Oh, I think I was talking about my boss. That's it.
boss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I was
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, Ava, that's what happened. So yeah, we were talking about that. And so she comes over to me and she's like, "You'll never guess what he just asked me to do." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "He just called me into his office, points to his computer screen and says, just get rid of it." This man brought up a Google search, and he did not know what to do with himself. I about died. I mean, the silent generation, man. But again, my grandpa is a silent generation, and he worked for IBM for 50 years, and he's very technically literate and more so than I'll ever be.
Mm,
And, you know, not all silent generations, but,
mm,
yeah.
mm. Yeah, yeah. I for me, I just want to keep learning, keep you know keep learning about new things. And the more I don't believe in you can't teach a dog old tricks, or new tricks or whatever.
You
Oh, an
definitely
old dog.
can. It's just that dog needs to be willing to do it.
Yeah, I just yeah you know I don't want to be like a person like I said before that is completely out of touch. Don't know what this is. Don't know what that is. Never heard of it. Never going to touch it. Never, I just, I just,
And I mean, there's
I,
even some things like my mom
yeah,
is completely out of touch with, and it's like things that have been going on for like the longest time. Not even just Gen Z, but it's been going on for a long time. And I will, oh my God, I laughed at this. This is funny too. My mom calls me and she's just like, "What does this mean? Like, is Justin Timberlake um having a concert or something, and we're coming to Toronto?" And I'm like, "No, like I know he recently did," and I'm like, "No, why?" And this was again, this preface this, guys, this was in late April, okay? And I'm just like, "W Why? No." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because someone said, like, wrote this thing about roses are red, violets are blue." I can't remember the other line is, but in a few days, then they show Justin Timberlake, right? I when I tell you that I was crying of laughter, and I'm like, "Oh my god, no, that has nothing to do with him having a concert, you don't get it?" And she's like, "No, I don't get it." And I'm like, "Think about it." I guess literally, I'm trying to urge her, I'm like, "Think about it." And she's like, "No, I don't get it." And I'm like, "It's gonna be May." I started singing it, I was, like, dying, and she's like, "But he doesn't say May, he says me." And I'm like, "I know that. Everyone knows that." But he says in a way that sounds like May. It's been a running thing for
yeah, like,
years.
yeah, like the May the 4th be with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's separate. My mom knows that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, my mom's not dumb, she knows that part. Because again,
Mm.
Star Wars has been going
It's,
on
it's
long
similar. Yeah,
before,
it's
you know.
similar. It's almost similar to.
But
Well,
I would disagree because I feel like a lot of people in my generation knows May the 4th because it has to do with Star Wars. Star
hmm
Wars Day. Star
hmm
Wars has been going on since the 70s or late or 1980 or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's not new. That's not new. People
You don't
know
think
May the 4th.
that's.
No, I don't. I disagree with
Mm,
that part because that's Star Wars Day. Everyone who's a Star Wars fan isn't just Gen Z or millennial. That dates back to the 80s.
right.
So, I don't know if necessarily the day has is it was a thing since the 80s or 90s,
hmm
but I would disagree that other generations don't know what May the 4th is, whether you're a Star Wars fan or not. People know that.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah, true, true.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But like, that particular, like, Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake thing, that maybe I can maybe more give generations wouldn't necessarily get that because it's really millennials, that would really get that. Um, but I just thought it really funny that my mom just did not know, and she had never seen this before. She had no clue what this was, and I'm like, "This has been going on since I was in high school." What? Like, that's like 10, 15 years ago, and this has been a thing, and even if you don't know what it means, you've never seen this? That part, I was dying. And I like to think my mom's a cool, hip Gen Xer, so
Mhm.
I thought that was funny.
Nah. Well, interesting, interesting. Yeah, yeah. I'm just hoping I don't get like that one. It's just yeah. I mean, my mom. It took her a long time to do e-chasser. A long time. It took
Really?
her, yeah, a long time. She just got on it like last year.
Really? My mom's been e-transferring for years. Like,
And
what?
it's yeah, yeah, because she didn't trust it. She didn't trust it at all. Like she still does not trust like mobile banking, right? She doesn't trust
Oh, come on. My mom's been
an
doing mobile
online
banking
banking as
since I
well,
was in
and
elementary
online
school.
banking. Yeah, and online banking as well. And then she does it the old way. She doesn't. She goes and pays her bill
Oh,
to the
that's
bank.
no, no, come
Yeah,
on.
wasting. I'm
No.
like, Mom, why don't you just
Why
go on
do it
the
that
bank?
way?
Yeah,
Why?
you're just wasting gas. I'm like, it's too
Wasting
expensive.
gas, wasting time.
Yeah,
Like, I'm paying bills on the train sometimes because, like, I'll
yeah,
do my budget on the train and I'll pay my bills and whatever. Like,
yeah,
what? I mean, my mom hasn't done obviously mobile banking or like phone, like
yeah,
telephone
yeah,
banking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, you can still do it, but like
Mhm,
my mom, yeah, she would do telephone banking when telephone banking was kind of the main thing to do. But as soon as like mobile banking became a thing, like especially more prominent, um, my mom's doing online banking. She's I will never forget going with you and paying a bill at Rogers or whatever it was,
yeah, I didn't.
and I was like, "The f,"
Yeah,
because
I
again, that just goes to show, like, I
a
was, what,
generate.
19, 20 at the time? My mom had long been paying bills over the phone or online banking at
Mhm.
that point. I don't think I've ever seen my mother actually walk into a bank and pay a bill. I don't think I've ever seen her walk into a bank and pay a bill,
It's still, yeah, there's still a lot
and
of
I'm
people.
just like, "The fuck?"
Mhm. There's a
Ugh,
lot of people who just still do that. Like I told my mom, like, just pay online. It's easy. It's
yeah.
on in your
You're c
account.
You add the
Whatever's on
pay
the
you
ATM
add the
machine.
payer, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Whatever's on your ATM machine is
Yeah,
in the your account online banking. It's
yeah.
but
At the end of the day, she said she doesn't trust it, but
mm,
at the end of the day, there is no difference of doing it in person, doing it in the ATM, doing it over the phone, or doing it online banking. Your money's virtual anyways. The money you see in your bank, it's not like there's like a hold or something that the money's just sitting in there or something. It's all virtual. So, what's the difference?
I just think like she hears too many like scams in
When
past,
you're
but like
paying your own bill on your banking app
that's true.
or over the phone, I don't think a scammer is paying your bills. I think that's the last thing they wanna do. So, I understand the scamming aspect of things, but,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a stretch.
yeah, I know. It's just she likes doing it the old way. I mean, like I've been trying to, like at least she's doing the e-transfer. Like she knows,
Hell,
like
not even
I'm
my
e-transferring
grandparents
to
do it that way.
hmm?
My grandparents don't even do it that way. Come on now.
E-transfer?
My grandparents will my grandpa will e-transfer. I've sent him I don't know if he necessarily does a lot of e-transfers, but he'll accept e-transfers from my mom. I've sent him e-transfers. They pay bills online or over the phone. I don't think I've ever seen them walk into a bank and pay a bill. There were times, yeah, like I would go to the bank with my grandmother or whatever, but she wasn't paying bills. They, not even my grandparents were paying bills. Your mom, your mom's interesting. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
'Cause why do that to yourself if you don't need to?
yeah, I know. And she doesn't use a laptop that much, but she has a laptop, and I'm like, it's
So she
just
has everything at her fingertips. She doesn't even have to put it on her phone. She put it on her laptop and pay her bills.
but she uses Facebook though. She uses Facebook, and that's her
So she'll
primary
use
number.
Facebook.
Yeah, that's her
Hold
number
on.
one app to use. Because
Okay.
she does like the foundation and every single thing. So like basically like she gets donations from people and they donate
Mhm.
to her and they just uh she just requests it on her group. She made a group like I say a couple of years or years ago, and basically she just started like being more we call it not efficient but more uh involved with it the last few months, I would say.
Mhm.
And yeah, she's been like, getting donations from people, using it that way, and but she won't. I don't know. She just won't try e-transfer, and then she just like she tried e-transfer, but like she doesn't know how to e-transfer it to you. Like she wouldn't know how to do it. She wouldn't probably try that. I had to e-transfer it to her, right? So like that's the only things that she knows. She knows how to
So
get the
is it
money.
more about that she doesn't trust it or that she
I
doesn't
think it's
just know
more.
how to do it and she's not willing to learn how to do it?
I think that's probably. I think those two of those things. Like she
Yeah.
doesn't trust it, and she's not willing to learn. She just likes the old way. The old way works.
Why learn a new thing when I can the old
Yeah,
way
yeah.
works
And she
fine,
probably
right?
likes. Yeah, she likes the cold side as well. So like that's another thing too. So like I mean, she just
Yeah,
wants
I
to.
guess, but it's just like,
Yeah, I know. Wasting gas. I know. I told her like,
yeah,
what's your gas? What's your gas? But it is what it is.
like we're trying to cut back on emissions. You know what I mean? She could go outside for a walk. Instead, she's going outside to pay bills that she needs to obviously drive to wherever she needs to go to pay said bill.
hmm
So
I agree, but like I said, older generation just
I don't know about that older
some of the
generation. I
old
think that's just
some of the
wrong.
old some of the older generation like doing things the old ways. Like so uh yeah, even if I gave her like I gave her like the iPhone 12, she still hasn't used it yet because like she needed an iPhone. She has the iPhone 8, right? So
Mhm.
I don't know if because she feels like the iPhone 12 is too techy, but like they're both the same type of phones in a lot of ways, but one has like more features than the other one. So the iPhone 12 has more features than the other. So,
Yeah, see, my mom's not like that. My mom needs a new phone, she gets a new phone, she'll learn how to use it.
mhm,
Like, my mom
yeah,
isn't like that at all. But again, like, I think, like, this is the difference of, like, my mom being exposed
yeah,
to technology all her life type of thing, even if, like, it wasn't, like, typewriter or something, like, right? It's still something, and
mhm,
my mom's exposed to that with my grandpa as well, and my uncle, and, um, so it's just like yeah, my mom's exposed to it, so I think she's a little more open
mhm,
to, open-minded about stuff like that, um, and I see the differences between, like, my mom and my dad, where my dad is, you know, maybe not as open. Not someone that's not open, just incapable, but that could also be just his illness too and stuff like that, but
mhm,
it's I just see the differences between the 2 with that, but also just my mom being more exposed to stuff because of my grandpa, so it, I think that's part of it as well.
mhm. Yeah, it's uh, yeah. So which generation do you think is more uh open to trying new things? Like, which generation do you think is more open to this?
I probably have to say probably the Gen Z just
Mhm.
because of where they land
Yeah,
in the years
yeah,
with technology as well. Um, I think younger millennials would be open as well, but
yeah, yeah.
the older millennials, I would probably say yes
Yes
and
and
no.
no. Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe that. Yeah.
yeah, just because like
Same,
we're talking the '80s, right? Early '80s for them, or yeah,
yeah.
maybe mid.
Same with same with Gen X. I would say yes and no as well.
Yeah, I think it also depends. Again, it depends on
Yeah, yeah,
where you land.
yeah, yeah. Depends on the the baby boomers. I think the percentage goes towards no,
Mhm.
heavy on the no, and then the less on the yes. Because like I think the yes is basically in I'm gonna put a number on it. If I had to put a number, I think it's gonna be like 10%, and then the no is like a 90, heavy on the 90. Then the solid generation is basically towards no.
Mhm.
No, the old way works. Like, and such as like when it comes to like social issues as well, it's different eras as well too. You know, right? I
Yeah.
don't different generations look at social issue differently as well, not just technology, right? So like, obviously Gen Z look at social issues such as, racism, um, what is the next one? Mental health, um, what LBG, you can finish that.
LG
Yeah,
LGBTQ
definitely.
plus
Uh,
IA.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The millennials are I think both millennials and Gen Z, I think they're in the same sentence in a bit. And then you head down to the previous generation. That's looking kind of rough with social issues. Racism was probably heavy in those generations, right? So
100%.
yes.
100% it
So
was.
and then and
Yeah.
the community that you just mentioned, the LGBT plus.
LGBTQ plus IA.
Yeah, yeah, it's too long for me. I'm sorry, guys.
Then just say
But
LGBT if you
yeah,
can't say
yeah,
the
yeah,
rest,
yeah, yeah,
because that was the original
yeah,
abbreviation,
yeah, it
but
was the original thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, like issues like that, mental health was probably not talked about that a lot. Like, I think from that generation, from this generation, it has progressed heavily, but still needs to be, you know,
We still have
talked
work to do.
about. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
work, yeah, a lot of work to do. But
But
you look,
again, like we're all, kind of talking about that because I was gonna mention it later or earlier, was we're also, even though there's a lot of work to be done, there's also a lot of setbacks, right?
Mhm,
Um, like we're obviously not too bad here in Canada, but in the States there are setbacks. Um, Especially with our RFK right now wanting to basically do like a call it what it is, like a list like where people of the neurodivergent group having to basically register that they
mhm,
are.
mhm.
I don't know if it's everyone who would identify as neurodivergent or if it's mainly autistic people.
Yeah,
Um, but that's something that he wants to do that I think he's trying to implement. Um, so we still have a lot of work to do because obviously, as a person who knows a person in my family who is autistic, and I've talked about it, um, I take huge offense to that. Um, because why do we need to, you know, tell me if this sounds familiar, anybody, but when you have to register as a certain group of people, and then you have to then what, identify yourself as that particular group of people? Do you remember the last time we had that happen and how that turned out? So,
good.
no. No, I would say no. I would say it did not turn out good whatsoever. So, although we have a lot of work to do,
Mhm,
we have certain people who are trying to set that back. And honestly, we've talked about RFK a bit on this podcast. We'll have the American election. Shame on you. Shame on you. You come from a family that, I'm not saying they're perfect because they're not 100% perfect. We'll talk about it eventually. But we did talk about JFK already on the podcast and just shame on you.
yeah,
Yeah. Hold on.
definitely. Yeah,
Sorry. One second. That's
right. So, all right, yeah. So we're just gonna wrap this up.
yeah.
Like a lot of cool things that we talked about on this 100 episode. So this ends episode 100. So that's 100 of the Next Tape podcast. The Next Tape podcast is available now on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called Tanika.
Next take podcast.podpage.io.
And where else are we at?
Facebook and Instagram at Next Take Podcast and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod.
And you can contact us by email at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. That is mikeltanyka@gmail.com. So, yes, this is the 100 episode of
Mhm.
the Next Tape podcast. And like I just said, we just talked about a bunch of stuff. And if you guys
A
enjoyed
bunch of
this,
stuff.
yeah, a bunch of stuff. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode, cool, cool. So, anything you want to say, Tanika?
Um, no. No, I don't think there's anything that we need to really talk about
Okay.
that's coming up or anything like that yet, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm Mikel, and
And I'm Tanika.
we're out until
I think next week.
next week again. All right, peace, guys.
Bye.